Hi guys, welcome back once again. So I'm Shravani, a team member of Infosec Write-Ups. So I'm super excited to welcome you all again to IWCON. So I have with me Florian Hansemann, who is the speaker of this session. He's the founder of HanseSecure, and he's popularly known on Twitter as by his handle name Cyber Worship. He has almost up to 60,000 followers on Twitter. I'm sure all of you must have already known him. So today his talk is going to about his talk is about most common ways to hack companies under 4H. So welcome Florian to the event. I hope you are
Hi.
as excited as we are.
Yes, for sure.
So guys, after the session, we will Florian will be taking up Q&A. So if you have any questions, there's a Q&A section on the right side of the bar. So please drop in your questions, and after the session, we will be taking up your questions. Okay.
Great.
So please share your love with the emojis, with the reactions down your screen. So I'm leaving the stage. Florian, please take over. Thank you.
Yes, I will take the presentation. Hopefully you can see my screen. Sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. Okay, great. So welcome to my presentation. And I will show you the most common ways to hack companies under 5 hours. And yeah, it's also known as the default kill chain for many companies out there. So let's start. At first, a small introduction about myself. I'm doing security since 10 years now. I worked for several companies as an external consultant and in nearly every branch, like for military companies, aerospace, critical infrastructures, financial institutes. And I think the most interesting one was last year, one nuclear power plant, which was also the yeah biggest challenge until now. Yeah, it was very funny. I also dropped some 0 days within the last couple of months for vendors like Sophos, Intel, Fujitsu, and Microsoft. Yeah, I'm well known on Twitter, and also my blog is well known. And yeah, I have a very huge and comprehensive network of experts in the cybersecurity space. I'm located in Munich, and I'm running my own business which is doing a lot of security audits and also doing some strategical and conceptual consulting for larger companies as well. Yeah, the
Hi,
most
Florian. So sorry to
important.
interrupt you, but I think we cannot see your screen.
Ah, really?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Now we can.
Now you can.
Yeah, now we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
yeah, it's just my introduction. It's not so important like the next slide, so I don't start at the beginning. Yes, I was also at the television in Germany for the last some years, and I have some very interesting titles. Yeah, you can all read them down below. And yes, let's start about the presentation, how to hack companies under 5 hours. I have a very short agenda, and it's not rocket science, which I will show you, but I will show you for each stage some of my favorite tools. So I will tell you which ones, and yeah, and at which stage you can compromise a whole company because you don't have to run through every stage here. So let's start with the most important thing, and I think we have a huge bug bounty crowd here. So I think the awesome part you all know. And for our example here, I in most cases I use a phishing vector or attack vector because it's much easier than to attack the perimeter infrastructure or any web servers and so on. So I'm looking for employees of the company I want to hack at social media, at LinkedIn, Facebook. Xing is something from Germany and Switzerland and Austria, and yeah, Google for sure. And there I have to look for interesting targets like administrators or C-level managers and so on. So you can imagine that these have more permissions in the network or at the company like all the others. So this is a nice target for me to create my phishing email. And backstory. After I found my targets I want to attack, or the persons I want to target, um, I have to build the dropper. And this is one of the most, I don't want to say the most challenging, but the most time intensive parts of the attack, because you have to create a dropper. This is a file you will send to the client or the target to execute your payload or shellcode. And yeah, this is something special because you have to evade all the modern antivirus and EDR solutions or perimeter security, IPS sensors, and the like. So we in our company use the Mythic framework for the shellcode creation. This is a C2 framework for the command and control channel, where we can use keyloggers, control. We can also dump the password hashes and the like. And yeah, maybe you all know Cobalt Strike as well. So if you use these tools to create your raw shellcode, it will detect it immediately by all the security vendors out there. So you have to use some other tools to obfuscate your shellcode at this stage. And on the below, you see 3 examples of my favorite tool set. The first is Nimpact. It's written in Nim, and you can very easily take an executable in .NET code and can just create a new DLL or executable with this tool, and it's nearly undetectable by most of the antivirus solutions at the moment. So it's a very powerful, and it's open source, so you can found it very easily on GitHub. Some commercial solutions are Shelter and Bubble for Net. Let's start with the Shelter framework. It's commercial. It has also a free version, but it's not so powerful. So the professional one, I think, it's about 1,000 euro per year or something like this. Yeah, it has similar features like an impact, but you have also the possibility to obfuscate macros for Office documents or PowerPoint and the like. So you have some more features, and it's more efficient at the end, like an impact. But yeah, it's not for free. Bubble for Net, it's a framework or a tool for standard or normal ordinary programmers to protect their shell to protect their source code, that it can't be copied easy. But sorry, okay.
No,
uh,
people were just writing in the chat box that they were unable to see your slides.
Again, but you can see it.
Yes, now I can see it.
Okay, that's weird. Maybe let me
Audience,
check it.
if you
I
can
I
see it, please drop in that. Please drop in the same in the chat box.
I will try to share the window and not the whole screen. Maybe it's better.
Okay.
Just a second. So, okay. You can see the slide with Mythic and Kubert Strike.
Audience, please drop in if you can see the slides. Yes, I think now they can see.
Okay. And it's not the first slide, right? So you see the time space, half an hour until 1.5 hours, right? The dropper slide. Okay. Sounds good. Great. Sorry for that. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, hopefully you get my point here. So this is the next stage. Like I also already told you, to create this dropper to evade all the antivirus solutions, and it's quite easily because yeah, the Mythic framework, for example, is open source, so it's for free and easily um, started because it's in Docker container, and also the Nimpact is a Docker container and self-hosted, and yeah, just click easy and creating a very difficult to detect payload here. So after you created this dropper and checked if it's not possible to detect it, or to that it's evaded all the current antivirus solutions, you are going to create your phishing email to target the persons you discovered in the first stage, so the OSINT page stage. And for this, I use the GoFish framework. It's also open source. And you can easily create phishing emails within an HTML editor. You can import other emails, which are one-to-one copied from the original one, and looking very sophisticated. And you can track every stage of the phishing campaign. So, for example, you can send your emails
Florian,
to
I'm so
several.
sorry to interrupt you again. So
Yeah.
it is stuck on your first slide, on your title slide.
Okay. Hi, hi, hi. So next time, PowerPoint Bildschirm. Okay, I try this. Now you see my phishing slide, hopefully.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, until the next 2 minutes. Okay. The Go Fish framework, for example, you can send to several employees or targets, name it as you wish, your emails, and you can track every stage. So you can see if they received the email, if they opened the email, if they clicked the link, if they submitted their credentials and the like. And for our purpose, it's very important that we know if they are downloaded the file, we or click the link and afterwards downloaded the file with our dropper, because you won't send your attachment with your dropper file with attached, because it's easier to detect by the antivirus and email security appliances. So you just send an email link, maybe on OneDrive or SharePoint and the like, and then they direct download these files with the dropper inside. And if you track this stage, you know if the antivirus solution is detecting the software, because if they downloaded the file and nothing happened, so you don't get your connect back to your Mythic or Cobalt Strike framework, you know, okay, the file is deleted or in quarantine and the like. So you need a new dropper. So it's very important to track every stage of the phishing attack to get an idea if the email is just dropped, it's opened and the like. Yeah. And for this purpose, Gophers is very, very sufficient. Yeah, after your hopefully successful fish, you landed on the local client, for example, in the office network or on the company's network. And from now, you have the first stage, or it's one of the several stages you have to run through. And this is privilege escalation or local privilege escalation. So, from my assessments, in most cases, I have just to choose one of these four options you see in the right corner. So we have service permissions, old software, environment path, or previous file access. Let me explain these in a short way. So service permission, for example, is if you're running a Windows operation system and you have several software installed, you have sometimes any services running with higher privileges like a local system and the like. And often seen they have wrong service permission, so you can configure these settings with an unprivileged user you fished right now, and you can, for example, switch the binary which is executed by the service with local system to another executable, so you can drop your dropper again as an executable and the service is starting, but it's not executing the, I don't know, FTP server or sync server and the like, but it's starting your shellcode or your dropper with the highest privileges. So this is an easy and very common way, which we always see or very often see in our assessments. Another one is the environment path. So maybe you know it also from Linux or Unix systems, but in Windows you can also check the environment path. So if you're executing in software or application from the command line or from the PowerShell, it's searching through all your path which are saved in the environment path. And if you are finding one entry of the environment path which you can write to, so you have write permission in this directory, for example, you can also place another file which has maybe a name of a very common used software like, I don't know, but yeah, Calc is a bad example because it's earlier in the stage through looking through these directories. But if you're using any not so common application at this stage, it will execute it. And as I already explained in the service permission task, you can drop this Docker file with the executable, which has your shellcode inside, and it's also executed by the user, which wants to execute another application in this stage. Old software, I think that's self-explaining. If you are using old software on your system, which is running in a higher permission level, you can just compromise it with some exploits from the public. And the last one on the right side, the previous file access. It's a newer thing. I think it's about 3 years. We are all exploiting these. This is about the problem that you have sometimes some software solutions like antivirus, which is doing some higher privilege file task like delete, set in quarantine, move, and the like. And there you can use some tricks like symbol links or fake directories to redirect this higher privilege permission on the file to another file. So, for example, you can delete an labs file, labs DLL, or delete the calc file, and so on. And through this way, you can also use this to get privilege escalation. If you're more interested in this case of vulnerabilities, I really recommend the talk on the troopers from 2019. I think it's privilege file access escalation or something like this, or a misuse. I don't know. Just Google it. At the Troopers 2019 is a very good talk. And yeah, it's very well explained there. On the left side, you see some GitHub repositories to discover most of these vulnerabilities. And all of them are very often used by us and helps us a lot to find these kind of vulnerabilities. Yeah, we only talked about the local privilege escalation at this stage, but more important is the domain configuration. If you get your foothold within the network of the company you are target, and here the best tool is Bloodhound. You may know it or not, and this is a tool which visualize all the certain connections through all domain objects, so computer to users and groups and so on. And you can really quickly identify security issues here. And these three are the most common ones, or the easiest ones to spot and to misuse to get domain admin permissions, so the highest permission in the network. For example, the privileged service principal names in the top. It's also named Kerberoasting. So if you define these service names within the domain, you can get their Kerberos ticket also with the lower privileged user. And you can take this hash with you to your offline cracking machine at home or on online. And you can drop there this hash, and it will be cracked offline. So the company has no idea that you are trying to brute force the clear text password at this stage. And if they used weak passwords for the service principal names for higher privilege accounts, for example, domain admins and the like, you have a very straightforward way to get the clear text password of these accounts. Another way is the unconstrained delegation. This is a feature for Windows systems to get the permission on the resource through another systems. For example, if you want to access a database with the user and you only want to execute some task on the database through a web server, it's not per default possible in Windows domains. So you have the need for delegation. And the oldest and worst way to configure delegation is the unconstrained delegation. Because if you find a system in a network with unconstrained delegation, This system will store all the credentials in the easy way to task. It's about coverage ticket, but it's the same. All the credentials of all user which are visiting this web server or the database server or the like. And if you compromise this system, you get all of these tickets and you have all the permissions. So you can imagine it's like a terminal server. If you break or compromise this system, you will instantly got a huge impact of the whole company. And yeah, so it's a very bad vulnerability as well in most companies. Yeah, and the last one, ACLs and DACLs, it's about write permissions on AD objects. Yeah, you can also easily spot these with Bloodhound. And for example, 2 weeks ago, I discovered in an assessment that all default users in a Windows domain have write permission on the, I don't know why, on the local desktop computer from the domain admin, so they can alter the settings on the system on the computer. So I can create a new local admin on this laptop and connect to the laptop, drop the hashes of the domain admin, and voila. Yeah. Another tool next to Bloodhound is also the PowerView PowerShell script from the PowerSploit framework. It's in PowerShell, and there you have also the possibility to use all these queries to find these vulnerabilities on the PowerShell directly, which could be a good idea if you are doing some scripting, because in Bloodhound you have the GUI, so application where you can click and write down your queries, or use the web interface to run your queries. But if you want to combine some more complex tasks, for example, yeah, discover all network shares, check all the permissions, and then you go through all the network shares you discovered to search for certain words like passwords, key pass databases, and the like. This is a thing which is much more easier with PowerView, because you can just pipe your PowerShell commands next to each other. Yeah. Whew. Okay, and the last one is the the password spray. So yeah, you won't believe it. In many companies, it's also very often that the username is also the password, and there you can use the tool below. It has just a flag which is called, I think, username as password or something like this, and it will go through all the accounts within the domain and will try this, and you will find some accounts, and maybe you also find a higher privilege account. Yeah, a half a year ago, I have an assessment, a penetration test, an internal penetration test where I tried this one, and the account name was easy, the password was easy, as the software was Easy Manager or something like this. I think it's DBMS. And yeah, this account was a domain admin within the company. So just 15 minutes after starting the assessment, the whole company would be compromised because the domain admin password was easy. Yeah, great idea. Okay, another thing are weak passwords. So you can choose the default bad password list from your country, or I recommend to create a small customized one for the company you are targeting. For example, company name with the year you are doing the penetration test, with an exclamation mark, with a question mark in the end, or a hashtag. And you will be surprised how many people are using this kind of passwords. Yeah, and the last one is, I think, easy to imagine. A default password is also very often seen. Yeah. To summarize the steps, I created this slide. For the first stage, I already told you have to do your open source intelligence job to get all the information about the employees and the company itself. Afterwards, you create your dropper with some obfuscation to evade all the modern antivirus solutions. Then you are doing your phishing job with GoFish and the like. And after you are getting a foothold on the client or compromise the first system, you're trying to get privilege escalation, because I forgot this, why we want to get privilege escalation on the system. If you are getting privilege escalation on the local system, you can install more sophisticated software on the system. You can turn off the antivirus solution. You can turn off the firewall. You can create a reverse VPN tunnel to your command and control server to scan the network. So you have much more easier way to compromise the whole company afterwards. After this local privilege escalation, or the try to get local privilege escalation, you don't need privilege escalation to do the recon part of the Windows domain inside. So at this stage, we are looking for bad configuration within the domain to get the quickest way to get domain admin or enterprise permissions or to compromise this user. Yeah, and the last step is password spraying. As I told you in the beginning, we have some stages here which could immediately lead to domain admin permissions. So the first one is the phishing gig. If you are looking for some administrators of the company and you target these, you may be lucky that you just hit your phishing gig on the domain admin. So this is the most quickest way and easiest way to compromise the company. But in most cases, this won't happen because if they are doing their job right, they don't use their domain admin users for email reading and surfing, but it will happen, I promise, in some cases. Privilege escalation has another way to get domain admins. For example, in many companies, if they are running new systems, for example, they buy, I don't know, 50, 60, 80 new clients, Windows clients, and to roll out these, they often use something like a golden image. And in each image, they use the same local administrator with the same administrator password. And if you got local system on one of these clients, you will receive the NTML hash or even the clear text password of this local administrator. And then you can relay or throw it, or pass the hash or use it if you get it in clear text on other systems. And yeah, in most cases, you will compromise a lot of other systems. And if you just find one other system where a domain admin is running one process, yeah, you can just take over this process on this system, and you got this permission token from him, and then you are domain admin as well. Through the recon part, you can also get domain admin through the ways I already discussed on the last slide or the slide before, through service principal names or any domain permissions on domain objects. And the password spraying move I also explained to you with the easy user, with the easy password for the easy manager, which was the domain admin. Yeah. This was a very short and very fast run through a example kill chain for many companies. And yes, in most cases, it's such easily to get to the point to hack all of these. So let's try to protect these and tell them how we can, just which recommendation can defend these attacks. Thanks for your attention. Don't wish it will be easier, just wish you will be better. And if you have other questions I'd like, here are my contact infos. And thank you for your attention. And now you have the time for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Florian. That was an amazing session. And now we have few questions. So shall we take up? So this is the
So how
first
to improve
question.
our knowledge, any resource? Yeah, sure. Good question. I think from my side, the new offensive security OSCP course is doing a good thing about AD security as well. Then the RTO from Zero Point Security, which is also a sponsor I see, is very awesome for Windows security. And then you can just check my Twitter handle to get some other Twitter accounts which are doing a lot of security in AD context. For example, Sean McCalf, his blog is named adsecurity.org. It's incredible. Then you have also the Red Team Notes, which is also incredible. So yeah, maybe you just check my Twitter account, and these guys I'm following, you also should following. Yeah, I think this is the easiest task, or not the easiest topic for getting into security or offensive security, because you can start with bug bounty, other like penetration testing domains or internal companies. It's a different space. But for web app security, I think you can just start with bug bounty, and I really recommend the Security Academy from the Bob Suite, Podswigger. It's also for free. And yeah, there are plenty out of the resources for web app security. So just start with these and have fun, and you will be better even every day.
Samuel, hope your question is answered. So the next question, while pen testing after getting the first system, how can obfuscate from blue teamer, sir? What type of C2
Yeah,
framework is needed to obfuscate and still
yeah,
away from blue?
yeah. This was the slide with the tools. So you can use Shelter, you can use Bubble for Net, or you can also use NIM Plant. I think I know. Let me check the name of the tool. Uh, to Impact, sorry. So there are several tools out there, especially for .NET files. And for the C2 framework, I would choose Mythic or uh, Cobalt Strike. Metasploit as well is good if you are configured right. So you can choose anything of these.
Can autonomous pen test take over manual pen test? Basically, in terms of attack vectors being more in case of autonomous PT.
I think for sure, especially for all the systems which are connected directly to the internet. So if you are talking about web applications, mobile application, and the like, um, this is a part I think which we will see within the next couple of years, that a lot of autonomous pen testing or more automation pen testing will happen out there. But you have two issues at this stage. The first one. Um, the tools cannot detect logical problems. So if you have a vulnerability which is not a technical problem, but a logical problem, yeah, for example, the login process, um, it's difficult to explain, but logical problems won't be detected easily by software. This is the first stage. And the second one, sometimes you don't have the possibility to test test environments or dev environments, so you have to test in productive system, and then you won't find a lot of clients who wants to run automatic pen test on their production systems.
So much hope Florian has answered your question. And next question is by Rohit. Craziest part of every researcher to find a 0 day, sir. How can we improve our knowledge? Is code review is main and essential part.
I think it depends on the topic or the art of vulnerabilities or 0 days you want to find. For my 0 days, these are all things I find through doing my penetration tests, because sometimes I get at a point where, yeah, I don't find a way through my standard ways. So I start to look at the higher privileged processes like antivirus Sophos or McAfee and the like, and try to find their logical vulnerabilities, because most of my 0 days were logical problems. But I think code review is a very good way to find 0 days in general. Yeah, sure.
So you use on ChatGPT and
Yeah,
benefits and
unfortunately, I didn't find the time until now, but it's on my agenda. Hopefully, next weekend I will find some time to play around with this. So, until now, I have no answer to this.
so what are the things skills we need to improve to find 0 days?
Yeah, as I already told, I think code review is very important, and logical programming things. And it's always a good idea to read other 0 days technical reports about the vulnerabilities to get about it into this kind of thinking about software and issues in software. What things, skills we need to improve? Ja, genau. Ja. Even if
Even
we
if
use.
we use automation tools at the end, manual intervention is required. I think this is
Yeah,
like,
that's a statement. It's not a question.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he wants to add this to one of your answers, maybe.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. So there are no more questions. So guys, if you still have any questions, you can just post it. So thank you so much, Florian. It was amazing to have you on IWCon. It was great interacting with you. Thank you for answering all our questions.
Thanks as well.
I hope you also had a great time.
Sure.
Yeah, you can also surely join us in our network spaces and try to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a nice day. Thanks.